Welcome, collectors and diecast enthusiasts. We are back with another 2021 Matchbox Real Working Rigs case. This is Mix or Assortment 3 for 2021. There will be 4 models in this case, but only 1 new tooling, so pretty excited about that 1 new tooling. Well, we're going to take a look at all 4 of the ones that are in this. This is the L case, as you can see right here, and as always, I purchased mine from my friends at jcardiecast.com. There will be a link in the video's description if you want to purchase your case from them. All right, let's begin the unboxing process. See what's inside. Now, I'm hopeful that there are 2 of each in here because the case contains 8 pieces. If there are 4 vehicles in this particular assortment or 4 models, that would imply that there are 2 of each, but that's not always the case. Pun intended, because it's a case. All right, opening it up, we can see that there are 2 of these, 2 of those, 2 of those, and 2 of those. So we're off to a great start. So, starting off with the top truck, we can see that this is the Freightliner M2 106 vacuum septic truck. Man, that is a mouthful. We have not seen this in the Working Rigs line since the early part of last decade, 2011, 2012-ish. This is one of my favorite Real Working Rigs models of all time because it scales out just about perfectly to 187 scale, and it's a great-looking truck. So, this is a model that does suck, another pun intended, used to clean out sewers, that kind of thing. Also, it can be used to clean up a lot of excess water. This also has a lot of functionality on it, and again, we're going to take a look at that when we unbox it. So there are 2 of those. Here's the other one, and this is number 11 of 16. Next up, we have number 10 of 16, the International Workstar 7500 dump truck. This is also a repeat livery and repeat model that we have seen in the Working Rigs line before. This is a more recent repeat. Very nice looking tandem axle dump truck. And here's the other one of that. As I always like to say, the card art that the Matchbox group does, the Mattel group does, is just as amazing as the models. I mean, check that dump truck out. Got some pylons in the back, some piles of dirt. Pretty impressive. All right, here is the brand new casting or the brand new model for this assortment of Working Rigs, number 9 of 16. This is called the Garbage King XL, which is a recycling truck or a dumpster truck. This would go in and pick up your dumpster that may be at your apartment complex or maybe at the end of your business. Pick up the dumpster a couple times a week. The loader arms would lift it over the front, dump it in the back, and then when the truck is full, this back portion would lift up. The whole body of the truck would lift up, much like a dump truck, and empty it out at the recycling center. Very excited to see what kind of functionality this truck has. And although it is a generic cab, it is a very realistic generic cab because most of these trucks for this style are cab-over engines or COE style cabs, which is what this has. Again, if I didn't mention it, this is 9 of 16. And there are 2 of these. And finally, at the bottom, we have what we saw in Mix 1 for this year, which is number 1 of 16, the International MV box truck in the Speedy Express livery, which again is a repeat model that we saw, as I just mentioned, in the first mix of Real Working Rigs for 2021. So let's take a very quick break. When we come back, I'm going to bring out the spin table. We're going to open one of each of these and take a much closer look at them. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this short break. All right, welcome back, collectors. Let's go ahead and open this one first. This is, once again, the International MV box truck. This is an almost exact replica, or at least as far as I can tell immediately, an exact replica of the first model released in the 2021 line for Matchbox Real Working Rigs. Speedy Express on it, International logo at the top of the card, Working Rigs at the top left. You can see the working feature on the card is this drop-down tailgate used to lift up cargo into the back of the truck. On the back of the card, all your copyright information. So let's just crack this open. Now my assumption here, and I could be way off base, my assumption is usually when Matchbox does this, there's usually a model that was slated to be in this assortment that either got delayed or isn't quite finished, or for one reason or another just isn't quite ready to be released, and as a placeholder they put this model in instead. So that is, again, that's my assumption. I don't have anything to back that up at this point, but it's kind of disappointing that if they were going to do that, that at least this should have had a different livery on it than the same livery we saw several months ago at the start of the year. But just to show you the working features, we have the drop-down tailgate that you can drop all the way to the bottom so you can lift up cargo into the back of the truck. You can also open up the doors at the rear. So lots of different play value, display poses, lots of different terms I like to use. The front of the cab is pretty generic. I mean, you have the casted-in international, I guess, bracket for where the logo should go, but the logo isn't there. You have the grille at the front, lights, which do have turn indicators on it. On the side, 53, Speedy Express. On the actual box of the truck, you have around the corner or around the world, we do it right, Speedy Express, insured global tracking, secure international customs processing, and number 53 for a unit number on the truck. And you also have your DOT striping, which instead of red and white is orange and black, alternating to kind of stick with the theme colors of this truck. In terms of anything on the base, I don't think anything's changed there. Your code is GWG35. Let's bring the other one in to see if anything's changed. So this is the first one, and your code up here, if you can see, is N38. So this was the first release. And then the code here is P10. But in all other aspects, I don't think anything's changed on this truck, at least that I can tell. So we'll let them spin back around. You guys can do a comparison on them. But that is the Speedy Express for Matchbox Real Working Rigs. All right, let's go on and turn into the second casting in this mix, which again is another repeat. And that's going to be your number 10 International Workstar 7500 dump truck. This, again, is one of my favorite castings of all time. Let's crack it open. Now this, as I said before, is also a return livery or return design that we have already seen. I do believe the cab is a slightly different shade. I'll just put the two together. We'll start out with that. Here's the other one. And if there's any difference at all, this appears to be slightly darker than the original one. And then definitely the orange lines on the dump box are a little bit brighter than this one. But again, it's so minute that it's really, really hard to tell. So take that for what it's worth. Okay, turning our attention back to the truck. So this is obviously a dump truck, so what we want every dump truck model to do, no matter the size, no matter the manufacturer, is to see just how well it dumps. This has a pretty good dumping angle. You can see that anything you put in the back will come out, and also it has a tailgate that swings open right there. As for your deco designs, Road King Hauling, number 85. I believe it says the same thing on the door. Yeah, Road King Hauling Transportation, number 85. This does, on the chrome grille, have the international logo. Pretty sharp-looking truck. Very impressed with it. And if you have other Matchbox Real Working Rigs pieces of construction equipment, for example, the excavator, you can very quickly have a realistic-looking pose with both of them working together. All right. Next up, let's open the Freightliner vac truck. Here's the card once again. And you can see that he's kind of in the city background, which is really where you'd see these at work the most. Again, would have been nice to see this in a different livery than the exact same livery that this was in almost 10 years ago. But I digress. It is what it is. For the functionality, this has a lot. Your main, I guess you'd call it your hose, your pumping hose that would suck out all your water, put it into the tank, can swivel left to right. Your tank can dump, and also the back of it can open like that. So pretty good functionality for this model. If you want to look at the base of this one, for those that might be interested in that, trying to look for a date here. Yeah, 2010, although you're not going to be able to see it because it's right here in blue. So we'll try to zoom in on it, but I doubt it's going to come out in camera. P10 again for the code. Made in Thailand. But pretty sweet truck. Again, side-by-side comparison if you want to see the original. This is the original. Immediately I can tell you that the original had a lighter blue plastic. This has a darker blue plastic. The orange seems to be, at least to my eye, the same. The white seems to be the same. And that's really the only difference that I can tell from the two of them, at least on camera. And I know it might seem like it from where your guys are sitting, that the orange may have a slightly different shade on it. It really doesn't. It's exactly the same color. I think it's just the light that's kind of might be fooling you guys. All right, so we have saved the best for last by far, and that is our Garbage King. Here's the box once again. Matchbox up the top right because this is a non-licensed casting. Let's crack it open. There goes our dumpster. So there's our little dumpster. Here's our truck. Now here's what I really like about this off the bat. Now I think this was last year. Could have been this year. This year and last year just run together for me. But in the Basics line by Matchbox, they released the Garbage Scout, which was a much smaller dumpster-style garbage truck. Here, in the same livery, in the Matchbox series, Matchbox Services livery, rather. So you can have, your bigger vehicle alongside your smaller vehicle. If I could get my hooks to line up properly. There we go. You could have both of them. So, pretty nice that Matchbox kind of planned ahead there. But we're not focusing in on the Garbage Scout. We're focusing in, of course, on the real working rigs here. So how this would work is your dumpster would sit out here. This truck would come along, lower... Let's turn our table off for a minute. Truck would come along, lower the loader arms. He would travel up to your dumpster, plug his lines in there. Make sure he's lined up properly. It would go over the top and then into the bed of the truck just like that. Once it's empty, he'd drop his dumpster back down to where it was, pull away, just like that, drive away, and then when he's full, he'd return to the recycling center, for example, and then he would dump out his load. So a very functional truck there. Hands down, out of this bunch, I have to say that the Garbage King, by far, is my favorite. The Garbage King XL is my favorite. All the functionality that you would see with a real truck is present with this model. Now, I know a lot of you guys like to stick to scale, so I want to point this out right now. These Matchbox Real Working Rigs trucks are not 1/64 scale. If anything, the majority of them are much closer to HO scale, which makes them ideal for people like me who are into model railroading or collecting trucks in HO scale. So I've brought out a competitor's brand truck, which is Greenlight Collectibles, who does properly model trucks in 1/64 scale, just to show you how vastly different the scales are. So this might be a tad bit large for HO scale, but it's close enough to pass. This is a Greenlight truck of the same kind, which would be 1/64 scale. You can see just how vastly different the size is. So if you're looking for a 1/64 scale garbage truck, this is what you go for, the green light one. If you're looking for a 1/87 scale one, this is an affordable option for you by the Matchbox Real Working Rigs. I do have to tell you, which is kind of an embarrassment for the more higher-end companies that make the model I'm about to tell you about in HO scale, the Matchbox one, which is probably 1/12 the price, quickly doing some math, is 10 times more functional than a properly built HO scale model of a recycling garbage truck exactly like this. This has way more functionality. It has way more posing opportunities. The proper model does not dump like this. The back end doesn't open. Your loader arms are fixed in position like that. So really the only thing that the licensed one has going for it that the Matchbox one doesn't have going for it is the licensed one has a licensed garbage body and a licensed cab and realistic wheels. But take that as you will. I think this is a fantastic representation of a recycling garbage truck. The decos are crisp and clear. Once again, the cab is very realistic looking. Manufacturers of this truck include Mack and Autocar even today, and as you can tell, they took inspiration from both of those when they created the realistic design of this cab. Far and away, my favorite out of this range. So, as we end this video, you guys tell me below what you think. Is it the Garbage King? Is it the International MV box truck, which we see here? Maybe, is it the thing that sucks, of course, which is the vac truck? Or perhaps, is it the International dump truck? As always, I'm Tommy with Diecast Emporium. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, take care and be safe. I'll see you in the next review.